How you doing, everybody? And welcome to the debut of Comic Culture, a brand new series right here on the Razman's Reality. Over the years, I continually get questions about everything going on in the superhero world and people wanting to know my opinions on news, people wanting to know my opinions on comics that I read, all this stuff. People wanting me to do reviews on shows that are on the air, shows that have gone off the air, film sets that I have, TV show sets that I have. So this is going to be the place for all things Marvel and DC. Anytime you see the name Comic Culture in my videos, you'll know what you're going to get. And it's going to be a weekly series, or at the least, a bi-weekly series. But this week, to really kick it into high gear, you're actually going to get 2 episodes, because I had already planned what will now be episode 2 to be episode 1, but I had some things that I realized I wanted to talk about on my own. But coming up on either Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm not sure which one yet, because this video has been pre-scheduled before I have a chance to talk to Skinslip. But Skinslip and myself will be teaming up to talk. I'm not going to say review, because it's going to be hard to remember every single, all 13 episodes of the season. But we're going to be talking about Netflix's Marvel's Daredevil series. Tom Holland as the new Spider-Man, and the rumors about a Green Lantern within the Arrowverse. Today, on the Razman's Reality. Alrighty, so Tom Holland is the new Spider-Man. What do I think about it? Well, I'll keep this short and sweet, because it's really too early to really get into this, because we haven't seen anything about him in the Spider-Man suit. They haven't even started filming yet. He's going to be appearing in Captain America Civil War long before he appears in his first solo movie. But because this is such news, and because you all want me to talk about it, I'll give as much opinion about it as I can. I was a huge fan of Andrew Garfield. Some people weren't, but I was a huge fan of Andrew Garfield in the role of Spider-Man. If you go and watch my review of both of the Amazing films, you know that. He understood the character, he got the character, he was very passionate about being Peter Parker. So I was very disappointed that he's not going to be allowed to continue within the role. That being said, I completely understand what they're doing, because Tom Holland is a virtually unknown actor, and he's a very, very young actor. So what they're trying to do with the role is to truly make Peter Parker a high school Peter Parker, and make him be Spider-Man for a very, very long time. And if you want my opinion on what I think, as the fridge started running a little bit harder there, so I apologize if you hear it in the background at all. If you want my opinion on what I believe the direction will be in terms of how they're going to portray Peter Parker, and how we're going to see Spider-Man in the next 6 films, 4 films on his own, or is it 5 films on his own? It's either 5 or 6 films, I'm not sure. But I know it's at least a minimum of 3 films, plus Captain America Civil War, and then there are rumors about him being in Avengers 3 as well, which would make 6. But, or no, that would make 5. Again, I'm a little bit confused about the numbers. We'd have to go and look at various articles and things that have covered what's going to be happening here. But back on track to what I was saying, if you want my opinion about the tone that I think this is all going to take, you need to look no further than to read or watch the TV adaptation of the Ultimate Spider-Man run. That is going to be what I think they're shooting for. I think it's going to be the young, again, it's going to be, because of physical makeup, it's proven that it's going to be the youngest that we've ever seen the Peter Parker character, the most longevity that we've ever been able to get from a single actor in the Peter Parker role, and I think it will be trying to tap even more than what Andrew Garfield did into the humor and sarcasm that is a trademark of Peter Parker. Now, while though I'm a big fan of the Amazing franchise, and I'm sorry to see that end so quickly, I am definitely willing to give this the benefit of the doubt, because Marvel is going to be working directly with Sony for the first time ever. Spider-Man is going to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so I'm very much willing to give this the benefit of the doubt, and we have to. I mean, whether we like it or not, this is happening. We are getting a new Spider-Man again, so we just have to accept it and try and see the good in it and see where it goes. I don't think, though, that we're going to see another origin story. I think we've seen the origin story once now in recent years, and twice now within the last 15 to 17 years. Honestly, I lost track. I think Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, I want to say that was 2000 or maybe even 1999. So we'll just, for argument's sake, say roughly twice in the last decade plus that we've seen the origin story. So I don't think it's necessary to see Peter Parker's origin story again. I think that we're just going to jump straight into Spider-Man being Spider-Man, but he's going to be much younger and he's going to have many, many more things to explore. So I'm cautiously optimistic about it, and that's my opinion about it now. Obviously, when stuff comes out about him in the costume and we see any kind of trailer and things like that, that's, like I said, that's when all of us will be able to form a real opinion about Tom Holland in the role. Until then, it's almost too early to talk about, so that's all I'm going to say on that matter. Now I want to transition into a rumor that's been going around for a very, very long time now, ever since season 3 of Arrow ended. And I'm not going to give away any spoilers for season 3 of Arrow. So if you haven't seen season 3 of Arrow, don't panic what I'm going to say about I had it right. I got ahead of myself thinking about season 4 and what could be coming. But it is indeed season 3 of Arrow. I'm not going to give away any spoilers about it at all. What I am going to say about it is simply a matter of a location that happened in it, but if I tell you about it out of context, it's not going to be any kind of spoiler at all. But in order to properly address this rumor and why it's happening, I do have to mention it. So what we did see in season 3 of Arrow, at one point in season 3 of Arrow, was of course Oliver and Felicity heading toward Coast City, which is of course where the Green Lantern universe was introduced to us by DC Comics. And because there's already a character on Arrow named John, the rumors just automatically began to circulate that Diggle would be some kind of cover name or some kind of adopted name, and John Diggle would actually be John Stewart, and that is how Green Lantern would be introduced into the DC live-action TV universe and be part of the Arrow verse, or the Arrow Flash verse, whatever you want to call it. Now, while I would love to see this, the biggest problem with it is what I've already just said. They would have to explain why his last name has been Diggle for 3 seasons or 4 seasons, depending on how they want to do it, and not Stewart. And the other big reason is that Jon Stewart debuted in the 1971-1972 December and January issue number 72 of Green Lantern, and he was the second Earth Green Lantern, the second human Green Lantern within the Green Lantern Corps. Not the first ever human to have a Green Lantern power ring and hold Green Lantern powers, and of course the one that everyone associates with the Green Lantern universe is Hal Jordan, a white pilot who worked for Ferris Air. So that is the biggest problem, is they would have to establish Jon Stewart before they established Hal Jordan. Now, it is their own universe, and if they had reasons for doing it, they could, but I don't see them introducing Green Lantern on Arrow. Now, it could be a very similar thing to what they did with the Flash. They could tease the character, see if people want to see the character, and garner interest for it before they greenlight a show. But if they did that, I think it's much more likely, and this is again why I mentioned what happened briefly without spoilers for season 3 of Arrow. I think because we're going to see Coast City in season 4 of Arrow, I think the more likely reason that we're going to see Coast City is that Coast City could be one of the places where Oliver learned to fly, and I think that the person who taught him to fly could very likely be Carol Ferris, and we'd see Ferris Air as part of the Arrow verse. And I think when we get Ferris Air and that company as part of the Arrow verse, then we could possibly garner from the audience at that point how interested they would be in the Green Lantern universe, and DC could go from there. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing John Diggle become Jon Stewart and have the Green Lantern as part of, the Green Lantern Corps, as part of the Arrowverse, but I just don't think it very likely to happen in that way. I think if we see Green Lantern in the Arrowverse, it's not going to be Jon Stewart first, it's going to be Hal Jordan in some way, shape, or form. But only time will tell, and as you all know, Green Lantern is my second favorite DC superhero of all time, so I am not opposed to seeing him at all, but only time will tell as to what actually happened. It's just because of history and lineage with the character that I personally don't see it happening, and that is my opinion as it stands right now. With that, as you saw in the beginning, I've decided to, for lack of a better way to put it, relaunch my Patreon campaign. It never really went away, but I stopped uploading videos because I wasn't getting sponsorship, but on the advice of my friends, I'm just going to keep it there, have it there as an option. If you don't know what Patreon is a way for you to give right back to the show. I am working, but it's not a situation where I'm getting paid every month and I can go crazy with pickups. So if you'd like to give back to the show directly and you want for me to have an opportunity to have more things to review and more material for the show, you can give directly to it by going to the Patreon page and becoming a Patreon sponsor. No amount is too big, no amount is too small, and as far as rewards go, I will gauge that once I get a few sponsors and I try and determine what it is that I'm able to do to give back to Patreon supporters. But again, the link is patreon.com/RazMansReality. The shortened version, of course, will be part of default programming once again down below in the description box, so you can click it, check it out, and decide if you want to be a supporter at any time. As always, if you're new here to the YouTube channel or found the YouTube channel through Patreon, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I would love to see you again. Don't forget to like and share as well, because those always help with views, and any feedback on episode 1 of Comic Culture here today, of course, is welcome. And this is reality according to the Razman and Razman style. It's not just a catchphrase, but a way of life.